Now let's discuss the circulation of blood in the heart. As you all know that there are 4 chambers in the heart. We have 2 atria and 2 ventricles. So let's discuss first this flow chart that I have made for you. Remember, first of all, the blood is going to enter the atria, which is going to lead to the contraction of the atria, and during the contraction of the atria, the ventricles are going to relax and they are empty. After this, the blood passes to the ventricles and then the ventricles are going to contract and the atria are going to relax. So, blood from the right ventricle enters the pulmonary artery and the blood from left ventricle enters aorta. Now, just look in the image. You will see that we have 4 chambers. So, this is the left atrium and this is the right atrium, right? Left atrium and the right atrium. And here we have the left ventricle and this is the right ventricle. Just see what is going to happen. First of all, as I told you that there is contraction of 2 atria because now the blood is in the atria first. So, the blood is going to enter in the left atria and the right atria, right? Now, the atria are going to contract. This results in the passing of the blood to the ventricle. So, after this, the blood is going to pass to the left ventricle. Now, the regulation of the blood flow means so that the blood does not flow back, it is controlled by the valves which we have discussed. So, we have a mitral valve over here which is going to prevent the backflow of the blood from the left ventricle back to the left atrium, right? So, you can see here that we have a mitral valve which is going to prevent the backflow of blood from this to this, right? Now, from the left ventricle, the blood is going to pass to the aorta. From the left ventricle, the blood is going to pass to the aorta, and through the aorta, the blood is going to pass through the body parts. So, blood is going to pass to the body parts through this aorta. Now, here we have the aortic valve. We have aortic valve. So, what is aortic valve going to do? It is again going to prevent the backflow of the blood from aorta to the left ventricle, right? It is going to prevent the backflow of the blood. Here we have this aortic valve. Now, when we talk about the right atrium and the right ventricle, so what is going to happen? The blood is going to enter from the pulmonary veins, right, to the right atrium, and the atria is going to contract. After its contraction, the blood is going to flow to the right ventricle, and here in the right ventricle, the backflow of the blood from right ventricle to the right atrium is prevented by this valve which we call as tricuspid valve, right? This valve is what? It is the tricuspid valve. Now, from this right ventricle, the blood is going to pass through this pulmonary artery, then to the lungs. Now, the passage of the blood to the pulmonary artery is regulated by the valve which we call as a pulmonary valve. So that the blood does not flows back to the right ventricle, we have a pulmonary valve here which is going to control the flow, right, which is going to regulate the blood flow and is going to control that the blood does not flows back to the right ventricle, right. So, in case of the left side of the heart, the blood is going to go to the aorta and from the aorta to all the body parts. So, it is going to carry which kind of blood? The oxygenated blood. So, you can see that is why we have shown the left side of the heart as red in color, because it is going to carry the oxygenated blood to all the body parts through aorta. So, what happens in left side? The blood from the lungs, right? Blood from the lungs, which is oxygenated blood, is going to enter first of all in the left atrium, then in the left ventricle, and so that the blood does not goes back to the left atrium, we have a mitral valve over here which regulates its flow, and then the blood is going to enter the aorta, and here we have the aortic valve which helps in it that the blood does not flows back to the left ventricle, right. So, from this aorta, the oxygenated blood is going to reach all the parts of your body. In case of the right atrium, the blood is blood is what? Deoxygenated blood, right? So it is going to go to the lungs for oxygenation. So the blood is going to enter first of all the right atrium, the atrium are going to contract, and then the blood is going to flow in the right ventricle. This is regulated by the tricuspid valve over here, so that the blood does not flows back into the right atrium. Then the blood is going to flow to the pulmonary artery, where it is going to go to the lungs for oxygenation, and here we have this pulmonary valve, so that the blood does not flows back from the pulmonary artery to the right ventricle. So this is how the circulation of blood is there in case of heart. Contraction of the two atria, first ventricles relax and are empty, and this results in the blood passing to the ventricles, and the ventricles contract and the atria relax, and blood from right ventricle enters the pulmonary artery, and blood from left ventricle enters aorta. So in case of the left side of the heart, it carries oxygenated blood, right, and the right part of the heart carries deoxygenated blood. So this is how your blood circulates in the heart.